Hello and welcome. Tonight, that accident of history is most regrettable. Well, that's coming from former head of state, General Ibrahim Babangida, 32 years after annulling the June 12th election, which he now admits was won by Chief MKO Abiola. Drama in the Senate as Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan takes on leadership of the Senate over seat allocation arrangement. Central Bank of Nigeria leaves all rates unchanged at the end of its Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the first time in 3 years. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that he had a good discussion with U.S. envoy Keith Kellogg after a joint news conference was cancelled at the last minute.
On business news tonight, Central Bank Governor says new Forex code improving market stability and liquidity in the country.
On sports news tonight, Spain's former Football Federation boss, Luis Rubiales, found guilty of sexual assault for kissing player Jenny Hermoso without her consent and ordered to pay a fine.
From the nation's capital, federal government seeks $81 billion as compensation from cryptocurrency company Binance over alleged economic losses from its operations in Nigeria. "32 years after the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, the man at the center of that annulment, former head of state General Ibrahim Babangida, says the incident is most regrettable. General Babangida, who has finally admitted to the late MKO Abiola, saying that he won that election, disclosed that the nation is entitled to expect his impression of regret. The man, popularly called Maradona, made this revelation today at the launch of his memoir titled A Journey in Service. According to him, if he could turn back the hands of time, he will handle the June 12 debacle differently. The book launch, which was attended by President Bola Tinubu, was a roll call of dignitaries, including former presidents of Nigeria, ex-presidents of some African countries. Our correspondent Dele Omoyeni reports.
It's an atmosphere of cheer and joy as one of Nigeria's military leaders is being celebrated by dignitaries from all walks of life. The roll call of those in attendance includes former presidents and vice presidents of Nigeria, former presidents of Ghana and Sierra Leone, governors, ministers, and captains of industry. It's the launch of the memoir of the former military president, General Ibrahim Babangida, as well as the fundraising for the Ibrahim Babangida Presidential Library. President Bola Tinubu, who mobilized support against the military regime after General Babangida annulled the 1999 elections, recalls how the former military head of state failed to make history.
Whatever might have happened, the hallmark of the truth from our dear leader, father, uncle, General Ibrahim Babangida. Without you, people like me, I won't be in politics.
The keynote speaker is the former president of Ghana, and he reiterates Nigeria's role in Africa, drawing from the inspiration of its strong leaders.
I cannot forego the chance of this prestigious platform to mount an important hobby horse of mine, and that is the appeal I've made before in this great country, to the political and economic elite of the Federal Republic, to take aggressively the leadership of West Africa and Africa's efforts to unite our nations and economies.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo chairs the occasion, and he highlights the celebrants' contributions to national development.
It will be good, bad, and ugly, but your duty must be due, and you have done it. Your duty must be due, and you have done your duty. You have not only contributed to history making, you have contributed to documenting history. It is an important part of our nation building to keep accurate records.
The book reviewer is former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, who renders an account of the key points in the book.
He puts the facts out there. He gives his own reasons for the actions that he took, and he admits where he believes he was wrong. He also answers the question whether Abiola actually won the June 12th elections. And I quote him, "Although I am on record to have stated after the elections that Abiola may not have won the elections, upon deeper reflection and a closer examination of all available facts, particularly the detailed election results, which are published as an appendix to this book, there was no doubt that MKO Abiola won the June 12th elections."
For the author, he is grateful for the opportunity to steer the ship of the nation.
The tragic irony of history remains that the administration that devised a near-perfect electoral system and conducted those near-perfect elections could not complete the process. That accident of history is most regrettable. The nation is entitled to expect my impression of regret. As the leader of the military administration, I accept full responsibility for all decisions taken under my watch.
The book reviewer and former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Yemi Osinbajo, about some controversies surrounding General Ibrahim Babangida. Prominent among them are some coups he took part in, as well as the June 12th debacle. But more key are the words of the keynote speaker and former President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, where he says, if Africa must rise, Nigeria must play a prominent role. From the book launch of the former head of state, General Ibrahim Babangida, Dele Omoyeni, for Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, dignitaries from all walks of life have been speaking on the impact the former military president, General Ibrahim Babangida, had on their lives and on the nation. Some of the personalities who spoke, including the former military head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, businessman, Mr. Aliko Dangote, and industrialist Abdulsamad Rabiu, appreciated the generous contribution of General Babangida in their lives.
I'm part of those who interested you to join the army early 60. When I visited your school, to interest your school to see if you can join the army. And your headmaster at that time, or head of school at that time, was one famous teacher called Mr. Onemole Oga. Yes, I don't know what he told you about me, but the enthusiasm with which you and your class, and I think there are about 10 of you who in the end decided to join the army.
Certainly, my relationship with Ibrahim, forgive me for calling him my Ibrahim, has gone a long way, over 80 years. I think the popular argument was, who is older? But now I think it has been settled. I bow to you, you are older. Your Excellencies, I want to thank you for honoring my brother, my friend, my prefect, my head boy, my commander-in-chief.
Ibrahim Babangida, we all know, has been one of the most charismatic leaders in this country. He's somebody that, up to date, people go as if they are going on pilgrimage to consult him. We thank God for giving you that grace and the wisdom to continue to mentor people. In terms of your leadership, Nigerians know you contributed significantly in terms of the infrastructural development of this country and the social mobilization. We cannot write the history of Nigeria.
General Babangida has touched many lives across Nigeria. And today's book presentation, the IBB Presidential Library Project launch, and the caliber of people present in this room attest to his impact as a leader. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, here today and those watching, let me say this. You are gathered to celebrate more than a person, a building or archive. We are gathered to inaugurate a sanctuary of memory, a testament to the vision, complexity, and enduring legacy of one of Nigeria's most transformative leaders.
Anybody in private sector today that is somebody was actually created by you. Reason why you gave us licenses, I remember that we used to struggle to go and get licenses through Indians. Your Excellency, in 1986, you abolished the requirement of import licenses, and that is why we grew, to the highest level.
Away from the book launch now, let's head over to the Red Chamber, where tensions flared during plenary today as a dispute over seating arrangements led to a heated exchange between the senator representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Otu-Duanga, and the Senate leadership. The controversy began when Senator Natasha's seat was relocated upon resumption of session, which she objected to. The Chief Whip, Senator Tahir Monguno, had raised a point of order citing sections of the Senate rule book to justify the reassignment of seats. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezoke has more.
Lawmakers convened for plenary, which began smoothly. The proceedings, however, took a turn when the Chief Whip raised a point of order, drawing attention to an earlier stance of improper behavior over reallocation of seats.
Pursuant to Order 6, President of the Senate decided to rearrange this seat. And I was surprised to report that Senator Natasha, having given another seat, refused to vacate her former seat in flagrant violation of our rules.
He explains that the reallocation of the senator's seat was owing to the recent defection of some opposition members to the majority wing, thereby causing a vacancy in the row of seats. The Chief Whip had hardly concluded when Senator Akpoti raised a point of order, attempting to speak without being recognized.
Order, please.
Dismissed Senator Natasha, please, you are not recognized to speak from there. That is the order of the Senate.
Sir, Order 10 on privileges.
Senator Natasha.
Any senator may rise at any time to speak upon a matter of privilege suddenly arising.
She is, however, not escorted out. Her colleagues plead with her to maintain calm. The direct confrontation with the president of the Senate apparently does not go down well with other lawmakers.
The reaction from my colleague senator from Kogi State this morning is uncalled for. I want to sincerely apologize on behalf of the Kogi caucus to the Senate President and the entire Senate.
In his response, the Senate President, who had a similar confrontation with the same senator in June last year when she equally attempted to interrupt proceedings, appealed with lawmakers for calm.
What has happened today is a total aberration. But anybody who wishes to go and make law must be prepared to bear the law. Please, distinguished senators, do not feel offended. The matter will be dealt with at the appropriate time.
Plenary continues with a motion on the Benue State House of Assembly crisis.
Mr. President, we feel that unless there is an urgent intervention
there is the possibility of a constitutional crisis.
However, what was expected to be a lengthy debate was swiftly cut short. The lawmakers unanimously agreed to refer the matter to the Committee on Judiciary and Legal Matters. Now, that committee is also mandated to look into the Benue State House of Assembly crisis and report back to the Senate in 2 weeks. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Central Bank of Nigeria leaves all rates unchanged at the end of its Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the first time in 3 years. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. That accident of history is most regrettable. That's coming from former head of state, General Ibrahim Babangida, 32 years after annulling the June 12 election, which he now admits was won by Chief MKO Abiola. Drama in the Senate as Senator Natasha Poti-Udwanga takes on leadership of the Senate over seat allocation arrangement. Central Bank of Nigeria leaves all rates unchanged at the end of its Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the first time in 3 years. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that he had a good discussion with U.S. envoy Keith Kellogg after a joint news conference was cancelled at the last minute. Let's discuss Nigeria's economy now. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria today left all parameters unchanged for the first time in 3 years. While the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, who announced this decision of the meeting to hold all parameters, says that attention was paid to the stability in foreign exchange rate, moderation in the price of petroleum products, as well as concerns on food prices and supply.
Retain the MPR at 27.50%.
In line with expectations, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria has adopted a hold stance at the 299th meeting. The decision, according to the CBN governor, was unanimous to the 12 members of the committee after considering macroeconomic development, top on the list being inflation, which was recently rebased to reflect an over 10% drop in the consumer price index.
Nobody should infer that inflation has fallen to that level. No, because you are really comparing apples and oranges. But suffice to say, though, because this is very important, that we can see that inflation is gradually trending down.
The perspective of the meeting seems to resonate with some economists.
I think the best way we can really assess whether the policies that they continue to implement are generating the desired outcome, especially when it comes to price stabilization, is to see whether there's going to be a continuous downward trend post-rebasing. Because if we see an upward trend, then you will just build up temporarily by rebasing, but the problem still continues.
The MPC believes that sustenance of the positive trend would depend largely on the collaboration between fiscal and monetary authorities.
It's one thing to come here, cut the rate, but that thing needs to feed through. So right now, we're having, should I say, food issues, and it's not something that is for the central bank to do. They need the fiscal authorities to also come to the party.
The next meeting is scheduled for May 19 and 20, 2025. Ini John Mekwa, Channels Television News.
All of you seeing and heard in that report, the Monetary Policy Committee left the rate unchanged at 27.50% per annum, and all of the parameters were also left unchanged. So let's invite the CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rewani, to tell us, maybe give us a breakdown of what these figures are about. Hello, Mr. Rewani. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
On the news at 10.
Yes.
We have seen the rates have unchanged, parameters have remained unchanged. But let's take a short trip down memory lane. If I recall, the last time we had this discussion, before this MPC, November 26th.
Yes.
You gave predictions. Now, when you compare that prediction you gave to this one, what is the difference between that time and this time? But before then, also, what's the reason the MPC decided to let rates stay unchanged?
We said
the central bank was resolute because there was a lot of pressure on the central bank to actually bring the rates down. And we know that. But let me start by saying that the last time we met was November 26, exactly a month to Christmas. And we had some projections. Today we are meeting exactly 2 months to Easter. And so we will also make some projections. But primarily, what we did say, and I did say here, was that the exchange rate, the Naira would appreciate to 1550 by the end of the first quarter in 2025. And everybody thought I was being too pessimistic. But really, in reality, we got to 1550 precisely. We were correct. We also said that the budget will be passed, and yes, it was passed. We also said that there will be lowering of interest rates at a particular point in time. That did not happen. But basically, most of our projections, especially we said there will be another bond issue of $2 billion. There was a bond issue of $2 billion. I think that's clear. So again, we'll be forecasting at the end of this bulletin what will happen at Easter time. But to start with, today, after the central bank maintained status quo resolutely, the power market appreciated to 1,505 Naira to a dollar by 1.6%. But the PPP value of the Naira, which is very technical, is still at 1,102. Interbank interest rates remain flat, and the Nigerian Stock Exchange, as you can see here, actually lost a little bit. Average daily turnover fell. But this is the major thing. You see the Naira appreciating very quickly. But we say that this is temporary. No, don't get carried away. That it's still going to reverse itself to stay where there's fair value. So I think the important thing is that ever since then, some things have happened. What I call the bright side and the dark side. On the bright side, the Nigerian Naira has appreciated 9% in 2025. 9%. Inflationary pressures are easing, and GDP growth is actually positive. Petrol and diesel prices are cooling, and the PMI is actually expanding. Now, on the dark side, money supply growth is at 17%, which is relatively high. Interest rates are elevated, borrowing costs are up, and ATM and POS fees are up, and telco and electricity tariffs are up. But that's a balanced picture. Now, externally, we are seeing that, of course, the Naira is strengthening, but we caution that let's not be too hasty, because it's going to correct itself. There are many things that are happening. One, the reserves of $40 billion have come down. Actually, it was $42 billion, come down to 38 point something. But we have also borrowed $4 billion in bond issues. So when you take a look at that, you find that there's a lot of work. We have actually spent almost $8 billion trying to support the Naira at current levels. Now, what is going to happen next? That's the big issue. But before we do that, we must discuss inflation, because there was a rebasing, right, methodology.
The rebasing on inflation data.
What does that mean to the average Nigerian? And the way I want to look at it is that in the slide that is going to come up next, it says 3 methods, 3 outcomes. The old method, we see 34.8%. The new method is 24.4%. There's no way that inflation can reduce by 10% in a short period. And the real method is showing you 33%. Right? This is what we surveyed in the market. And so, what does this mean? The man on the street does not believe that inflation has come down as sharply as that. The policymakers who are carrying out the survey and using new methodology actually believe that inflation has come down to 24%. We went into the market and saw, using the old method and the old, we saw 33%. So, how do you explain this to ordinary people? Nigeria's inflation is like somebody who is overweight. And that's the overweight Nigerian there. Dieting, he lost 1.4% of his weight, but then he also went for cosmetic surgery, plastic surgery, and you see that that's not natural. This is more natural. So if you take out the cosmetic surgery effect and maintain just the natural dieting, the inflation numbers have actually come down by about 2 or 3%. But the trend is what is important, not the total effect. So the next, one data point is not enough to determine a trend. So we need to see February inflation, March inflation, and May inflation. Next meeting is May 19th. So there'll be 3 inflation data points between now and then. But I want us to be very clear, the difference between what is natural and what is not natural.
Which brings me to this one exactly, because, I mean, if there's something very important to an ordinary man, it's this food.
Yes.
And
let's look at the food basket. There are 8 items we looked at. 4 were in green and 4 in red. Yam tubers in August was 18,000 naira for a tuber, and now it's come down to 12,000 naira. Great. Eggs, 5,500 in August. It's up to 6,000, and it's actually increasing further. That's red. Beef, 4,000 naira a kilo in August. It's now 8,200 per kilo. So beef is really up 105%. Beans has come down from 150,000 naira a bag to 100,000 naira. Rice came down all the way to 85,000 naira in August. It's gone back up to 100, and it's increasing 18%. Gari came down from 43,000 to 35,000, lost 19%. I mean, gain, in terms of price reduction. Tomatoes, 50,000 naira down to 35,000 naira. But soft drinks have gone from 12,000 to 14,000. On average, the food basket, 4 up and 4 down. But the non-food basket is where it gets pretty tricky, which is the next slide. This slide shows that cement was 7,500 in August. It's now up to 9,700. Naturally, during the dry season, a lot of housing starts. Cooking gas has gone from 15K to 16,250. Electricity tariff stayed flat, 209,000, 209 naira per kilo in band A. Transport fare from Lagos to Ibadan stayed flat, 3,600, even though the price of petrol and diesel have come down. Petrol was 600 naira in August. It's now 925 naira, but it has come down thanks to the Dangote refinery. Data is going up now from 4,500 to 6,500. So the non-food basket was negative, the food basket was positive. Now, the important thing we have to look at, how does this all break down? In the next 2 months, 3 things are going to happen. 1, the rebased GDP will be announced. 2, February, March, and inflation reports are going to come out. Capital importation report is going to, and the World Bank spring meetings are going to take place in Washington. There will be Ramadan, people fasting, and during fasting, normally certain food items increase in price, vegetables and fruits, but also there will be Easter on April 20, and then there will be Lent before Easter, which is Ash Wednesday. Now, what's the outlook? What are we looking forward to see? Firstly, before we even go to the outlook, if you are a survivor, which is the bottom of the pyramid, food prices are up for you, transport fares are flat, your house rent is going to be up, your utilities are up, so you are going to face difficult times if you are at the bottom of the pyramid. If you are a corporate, utility prices are up, diesel price is down, borrowing cost is down, and salaries remain flat. But if you are an elite, airline tickets are going to be cheaper because the naira has appreciated. International school fees will be lower, except if you're in the UK where they now have VAT on private schools, and luxury goods will stay flat. So for the elites, they're okay. For the corporate, good. Now, what do you expect by Easter? Oil prices will fall to $72 a barrel over the Russia-Ukraine war cools. Oil production will increase to about 1.5 million barrels a day. PMS and diesel prices will increase. Even though we have seen it go down now, they will increase towards 1,000 naira per liter. Inflation will moderate to about 25-26% using the old method, and fixed income yields will decline. The naira will remain stable, trading between 1,550 to 1,600 by Easter, because people are going for Umrah and lesser Hajj. So, generally speaking, cautiously optimistic, but the central bank has done a good job by maintaining the line. Thank you.
Cautious optimism is the word for
between now and
outlook
Easter.
Between now and Easter. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
The CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rewani, thanks a lot for your time on the news at 10.
Thank you for having me.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Central Bank Governor Olayemi Cardoso says that the new Forex code improving market stability and liquidity in Nigeria. That's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. Let's head over to Abuja Studios now, where Millicent Walker is standing by to bring us more on the news at 10. Hello, Millicent.
Hi, Anne. We continue with the courts here in Abuja as the federal government is seeking $81 billion as compensation from cryptocurrency company Binance Holdings Limited over alleged economic losses linked to its operations in Nigeria. The federal government claims that Binance deliberately operated in secrecy despite having a significant economic presence in the country. The federal government is also alleging that the company violated several financial and tax regulations, including the Companies Income Tax Act, the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act 2007, the Central Bank of Nigeria's regulatory framework for mobile money services, and the Significant Economic Presence (SEP) order, which applies to foreign companies earning at least 25 million naira annually from digital services in the country. The case has been adjourned to March the 3rd for hearing. The NNPC 18 Operating Limited, the operator of oil mining lease OML 18 and a subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPCL, says it will continue to pay attention to the welfare of oil-bearing communities. Already, 5 communities in the Buguma local government area of River State, comprising wells in OML 18, have received medical intervention.
Tracking the barrels, sustaining production, and preserving the goods perhaps captures the motivations behind this trip that is set out from a land location in River State. This mission is being guided by NNPC 18 Operating Limited, a subsidiary of NNPC, which is currently in charge of the operational and production assets of oil mining lease OML 18. The traveling crew sailing through the creeks and heading to Bukuma Oil Well 8 in Degama local government area within OML 18 oil and gas fields is in continuation of what the company says has been a sustained intervention to the bearing communities since an incident of fire occurred after an interference, leaving some impact on the community. Five communities, Zion City, Bukuma, Daily Bread, Christ Liberty, and Uputa, are on the list of this week's long care.
We have doctors in different disciplines, general practitioners. We have a few consultants, cardiology, because we are looking at the commonest problems: hypertension, diabetes, malaria. We can offer some medications for common eye problems like conjunctivitis, eye infection of the eye, and all that. Yes.
A visit first to the community custodian and traditional ruler is an essential. He welcomes the support, but have some worries.
As you came here, we didn't drag, we didn't fight. We cooperate with you people because it's part of health to enhance us. Right now, the community, a lot of sickness, and you came in to help us. Why should we fight? We are cooperating with you people to enable you people to help us.
Already, NNPC 18 says it has conducted a well kill and spill recovery operations at Buguma Well 8, attesting to a multi-layer approach to the situation.
Not seeing you people with you, we are happy. Put a smile on our faces. Giving us this medical drugs and even giving us palliative is okay.
Coming to the town hall now, seeing a lot of people coming here to take medication, you see that yes, there's no hospital. We have a lot of wells here, and these wells are almost up to 13. We're encouraging the government, the NNPC, to come and exploit from it, because if they're exploiting it, they're also making money for the government, and also the community will also benefit.
Covering an estimated 1,035 square kilometers and consisting of 11 oil wells and gas fields, The management of NNPC 18 says the bigger picture is to continue the ramping of production and development of the 11 fields in sustainable manner in conjunction with its partners, which includes the host community. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital, and it's back to you.
Thank you, Millicent. In a bid to stay true to its loyal customers over the years, Pernod Ricard Nigeria has unveiled Imperial Black whiskey, a blend of American grain spirit and Scottish malt, right here in Lagos. The colorful event was a fusion of fashion and music, which synchronizes the product's characteristics with flavors of honey and vanilla.
Pernod Ricard Nigeria associates itself with class, and that's how this event, marking the unveiling of its latest product, is organized. Music and fashion characterized the night, with Imperial Black whiskey at the center of the celebration. The gold liquid glimmers from inside its uniquely shaped bottle.
Whether you come out looking Mama Africa like me, or you really just make your African style modern in ways that the younger generation do it now, this blend of music and fashion is what's at the heart of Imperial Black. We want to be centered right in the middle of culture, and this is why we celebrate the vibe of Nigeria.
Present to celebrate the new whiskey entrant into the Nigerian market are entertainment industry players who are treated to signature serves of the blend's craftsmanship, quality, and richness.
So what is very important actually is really to show that all these awards really broadcast the quality and show the quality of our product, and it's a testimony of the work actually all our master distiller put into the product to offer the best quality to our consumers, and especially here in Nigeria. And it's our way also to offer something very specific for our consumers so they can navigate in a very competitive whiskey environment.
This exclusive whiskey from Pernod Ricard has Nigeria and its people at heart, as the company promises to focus on how to impact the local market through initiatives that will continue to bring the product to light.
We are a very consumer-centric business. The consumer is at the heart of our business model, and definitely any action we take on Imperial Black is aimed at the consumer, to win the consumer's hearts and mind, to also embed the brand in the culture of Nigerians. And also, we're going to be supporting a lot of partnerships, a lot of events, with a lot of marketing initiatives to actually bring the brand to light across Nigeria.
The launch is an experience that encapsulates the essence of Imperial Black whiskey, designed for individuals who exude confidence and style, resonates in the brand's dynamic character, highlighting contemporary designs that mirror its elegance, boldness, and luxury.
We have more stories for you from the world of business. Dominic Iwiwu is standing by to take us through.
Thank you, Anne. Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank Governor, Mr. Olaimi Cardoso, has been speaking on how the recent launch of the Nigeria Foreign Exchange Code is yielding some results. The governor, who was responding to questions during the briefing of the Monetary Policy Committee, explains that the intervention has led to market stability and liquidity in the system. The domestic equities market closed Thursday's trade slightly in the red territory as Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee holds key interest rate at 27.5%. Inijon Mekwa tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stock market report. After just one positive close, the NGX is back in the red today because of Aradel. Aradel lost 2.72% today to close at 515 naira 60 kobo. And looking at the sectors, we see more information about today's trading, banking, and losing that very green color it had yesterday. It's now down 0.68%. Consumer goods is, however, positive 0.69%. and it's because of Dangote Sugar. Boa Foods moved the market yesterday, is still in that positive trend, but oil and gas is down more than 1%. The market mover, remember Aradel, that's where it's from. Owando also joins there. And so at the close of trade today, even though we're still retaining 108,000 level, but the oil share is down 0.04%, and the market cap is still around 67 trillion naira, and the bear is the winner for today.
And that's it on Business News. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. Outside our shores, 3 buses have exploded in Bat Yam, south of Tel Aviv, in what Israeli police say is a suspected terror attack. Authorities are now asking residents to avoid affected areas and remain alert. Here's Simon Puse with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The White House National Security Advisor Michael Waltz says Ukraine needs to rein in its criticism of the US as Washington tries to secure a peace deal to end the war. Yesterday, the US President Donald Trump called President Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator and said Russia holds the cards in peace negotiations because it has taken a lot of territory.
A dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he's not going to have a country left. Got to move fast.
It comes after Zelensky earlier accused the US president of living in a disinformation space created by Russia.
Russia has launched just another attack on Kiev, and our air defense systems are working. And this is one of the signs that contradicts to what President Trump has said, that Russia wants to end the war, and of course that Ukraine have started the war. It is very painful to hear it here in Ukraine, and especially it is painful to have to explain to people who are fighting at the front line, who have lost their loved ones at this war, and who have paid an ultimate price.
Hamas has transferred the bodies of 4 hostages to the Red Cross in Gaza in the first release of dead hostages since the ceasefire began. A Red Cross convoy then drove the coffins back to Israel. President Isaac Herzog wrote there are no words in a post on the social media platform X, asking the 4 for forgiveness for not bringing you home safely. It is the first time the group Hamas has returned captives dead since the ceasefire began last month, with Israel saying it will confirm their identities after forensic examinations. 6 living hostages are due to be freed on Saturday.
Everything, drop it. Come on.
Delta Airlines is offering $30,000 US to each person on board a plane that crash-landed in Toronto on Monday, all of whom survived. As it landed in the Canadian city, the plane skidded along the runway in flames before flipping over and coming to a halt upside down. Passengers described their amazement as most of them walked away without injuries. It remains unclear what caused the accident, which is under investigation. There were 76 passengers and 4 crew on the flight, which had travelled from the US city of Minneapolis before making its crash landing in Toronto. Spain's former Football Federation boss Luis Rubiales has been found guilty of sexual assault for kissing the player Jenny Hermoso without her consent and ordered to pay a fine of £8,900. He was acquitted of coercion for allegedly trying to pressure Hermoso into saying publicly that the kiss was consensual. As Spain's players received their medals after defeating England in Sydney to win the 2023 World Cup, Rubiales grabbed Hermoso by the head and kissed her on the lips. The incident triggered protests and calls for the resignation of Rubiales, who has said he will appeal against the verdict. A passenger train has derailed after striking a herd of elephants in central Sri Lanka in the early hours of Thursday. While no injuries were reported among passengers, 6 elephants died from the accident in Habarana, east of the capital Colombo. 2 injured elephants were being treated, police said, noting that it was the worst such wildlife accident the country had ever seen. The Pope's health has shown a significant improvement on his 6th day in hospital, the Vatican said. Pope Francis, aged 88, was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital last week with a respiratory infection. He had been diagnosed with pneumonia in both lungs. On Wednesday, he was visited by Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, who said she was very happy to have found him alert and responsive. We joked, as always, he hasn't lost his proverbial sense of humour, she said. She offered him best wishes for a speedy recovery on behalf of the Italian government and the whole country. And the sky across northern Europe has been illuminated by an object zooming through the air in flames. The pyrotechnics were in fact caused by a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. There are reports of sightings in Denmark, Sweden and England. Pieces of the rocket then crashed into Poland and experts say may also have landed in Ukraine.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Remo Stars have extended their lead at the top of the Nigeria Premier Football League to 10 points following a 2-0 win over Kwara United in match day 25 played this evening at the Remo Stadium in Ikenne, Ogun State. The Sky Blue Stars are now on 41 points from 25 league games. A brace from Lukman Bello handed Katsina United a 2-1 win against the Imba International in another game played at the Mohammed Diko Stadium in Katsina State. And Spain's former football chief, Luis Rubiales, says he will appeal his conviction for sexual assault over the forced kiss he gave star forward Jenny Hermoso after Spain won the Women's World Cup in 2023. A Spanish court found Rubiales guilty and fined him €10,800, but acquitted him of the charge of coercion earlier today. The ruling also prohibits Rubiales from going within 200 meters of Hermoso or communicating with her for 1 year. Prosecutors had sought a prison term of 2.5 years for Rubiales, 1 year for sexual assault and 18 months for coercion for having allegedly pressured the player to downplay the incident afterwards. That sports is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And just before we go, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, has clarified that the Court of Appeal judgment of February the 10th, 2025, effectively restored the tenure of sacked local government chairmen and councillors in Osun State. He, however, stated that the tenure of the chairmen and councillors elected during the administration of the former governor, Adeboyega Oyetola of the All Progressives Congress, would expire in October 2025. The AGF in a statement advised the Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke to shelve any plans to conduct local government elections for now in the interest of peace and in line with the rule of law. In the meantime, Governor Adeleke in the statewide broadcast insisted that Osun State local government election fixed for Saturday, February the 22nd, 2025 will hold despite violence over control of councils with embattled All Progressives Congress chairmen. And the main news again. Former head of state General Ibrahim Babangida today said that his decision to annul the June 12, 1993 election is most regrettable. He also admitted that Chief MKO Abiola indeed won that election. General Babangida made the revelation today at the launch of his memoir titled A Journey in Service. We also told you today there was a mild drama in the Senate as Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduanga clashed with the leadership of the Senate over seat allocation arrangements. But that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Have a wonderful night.